Alright Dave, so what are the problems involved in international climate agreements and why are we not seeing solutions?
Well, it's a difficult question, but as economists, we model this problem as a social dilemma, where the interests of individual countries are kind of at odds with the collective interest. And so with climate change, that means that countries, individual countries, would like to be left unconstrained with their emissions responsibilities or their greenhouse gases. But collectively, in a global sense, we'd like to restrict those. And so the fundamental tension that economists see is this free riding incentive. And with Kyoto, the Kyoto Protocol, we see this with the United States not participating or not joining. And so our models kind of reflect this fundamental tension, and all the prescriptions or the policy recommendations we have are trying to change the rules or change the institutions to facilitate or foster cooperation. And in a lot of respects, Kyoto failed in that sense. And in the recent agreement in Paris, we have kind of a lot of support, or almost universal support, by the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. But what differs fundamentally is that Paris is about individual contributions, nationally determined. And so there isn't a conditional set of requirements. There isn't a group target that they're catching. And so some of the research that I've been working on and talking about is under what circumstances or situations could that work out. Our models would predict that would be a disaster or business as usual, at least. Maybe not a disaster, but it would be just codifying kind of what we're doing anyway. And some of the research that I've been involved with Dr. Cherry at Appalachian State is to get kind of people's public opinion, or the opinion of the public, not just in the United States, but in China and India and Europe as well, on how they see the problem. Do they see it as a social dilemma like the economists do? And the short answer is they don't, kind of across the board. Even in the United States, about 79%, by some studies as low as maybe 60, but always above, around 2/3 or more, are willing to act or would support unilateral, or the United States acting alone, to address climate change. And it's even higher in China and in the European Union. I think even as high as 93% in countries like Portugal. And the reasons for this, and it's not that economists don't know this, but it's not the primary focus of their models, are non-pecuniary, non-monetary, non-material reasons. Things like it's the responsibility, it's the right thing to do. The story being that we're responsible in the developed world for these emissions, and in the developing world is now on their development path to likely project and to use more fossil fuels. And if we're going to try to restrict them from doing so, then we have to take this initiative, either leading the charge, but certainly helping out with aid and transfers of wealth. So responsibility is a big one, leadership is a big one, and morals. It's just kind of the right thing to do. And some of our models are reflecting that. We have models of international agreements now that incorporate issues of equity and fairness and inequality aversion. And I think those things are real. And to the extent that public opinion shapes how negotiators think about this and how treaties are drafted, this is kind of important. And so I think in short, there's some hope for an agreement like Paris, and it's because that most people aren't looking at this problem like a social dilemma, as the economists see.